Hi, my name is Mark Adam and I'm the host of Quantox the Podcast, a podcast show that we can discuss different hot trending topics from love, social media, politics, and many more. May pagkulitan makipagkwentuhan lang dito sa Quantox the Podcast. See you there!
For more local podcasts, check out more shows from Pilipinas Indie Podcast and Entertainment Network.
Hype Network presents.
Welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast. This is the THEMTG Show Podcast. Okay, welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast. And this is the MTG Show Podcast, a wrestling podcast. Ito, heads up lang. Sorry muna kasi medyo mahina na yung audio ko. Nag-a-adjust pa ako sa ilang bagay-bagay. Nag-a-adjust kasi ako dahil for the first time, gumamit ulit ako ng PC. Edit. Ang hirap mag-edit sa PC. Promise. And, this week is a big week for professional wrestling. And, I swear, this week is no different. Alright, we're going to start in a big way. We're going to start with our review on Dynamite. Dynamite na agad. Kasi, there's a big boss later in NXT. Plus, after nung review predictions natin for NXT Vengeance Day, siguro kailangan ko na magbigay ng aking mandatory update about sa 2.0 because kailangan natin yon. Kailangan ko siyang ibigay sa inyo para hindi naman ako magmukhang bias sa inyo at sa mga nakikinig dito sa podcast na to. So, siguro, gagawa natin to ng parang maala editorial format. Because we need it. Kailangan natin gawin yan. Sige. On this week's podcast, we're going to talk about, of course, Vengeance Day is coming next week. And there's a lot of things to talk about. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and of course, AEW. And marami akong kailangan i-regard or disregard on this week's episode. So, madami na akong sinasabi. Let's get down to it. Okay, mag-start tayo sa Dynamite. So, hindi ko binubuo talaga ang episodes ko so as possible. I'm not going to do longer reps. Yung mga ganyang kahaba. No, fuck you. Okay, we're going to start with this. So, MJF, the biggest son of a bitch in AEW. Man. Hindi ko kayang ayawan to si MJF, Seryoso. May umayaw ba sa taon to? Tanong lang ako, guys. May umayaw ba kay MJF? Kasi hindi ko kayang ayawan si MJF at this point. MJF is one of the biggest heels in professional wrestling right now. And hindi ko siya kayang ayawan. Hindi, seryoso dito. Wala akong character na inaano. Pero MJF, I swear he is one of the best wrestlers in the business today. And hindi ko ni-regret na sinabi ko to. It's kinda odd for me to talk about this. But MJF is such a big idiot. On his character though. But on his stuff, sobrang angas dito. Sobrang galing ni MJF. He proves the point na he is one of the best heels in professional wrestling today. And I got this point. I can say at least, sobrang galing ni MJF mag-elaborate ng stuff niya after he defeated Punk. And now, 'di ba, nagkaroon pa nga ng isa pang match si MJF. Although hindi pa naman na official, possible pa daw kasi magkaroon ng isa pang match between Punk and MJF. Probably sa Revolution. And of course, Pac UAW kasi Sunday na naman yung pay-per-view nyo. Sinunday nyo na naman. Naiinis ako kasi sanay na akong Sundays dito sa atin yung pay-per-views nila. But well, Pac you. Okay, we're going to get MJF Punk at Revolution. That's for sure. And parang i-stretch na lang nila yung feud for the sake of us na maumay pa sa kanilang dalawa, no? And then, let's talk about, speaking of umay, this is very interesting. So, we're going to talk about the Inner Circle team meeting. Alright? Why? I know may cracks past few weeks. There's a cracks between IC members. But what the fuck is wrong with this BS? Bakit niya binibuild to? Because of Eddie Kingston? I don't get the point of this. Sobrang random niya. I'm not saying I don't watch whole episodes of Dynamite. Hindi eh. Sobrang out of place lang nitong story na to. Imagine mo, nagkaroon lang ng disasters in the past few weeks and now we're getting this. Sobrang basura naman. Although I can say at least, makapag-solo na si Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho and Santana and Ortiz, pwede na sila maging tag champions nang hindi sila binabaligtad ng IC. Diba? That's a pro. Actually, that's a pro for me. And I don't know bakit marami nagdi-disagree about that. Alright, next. Let's talk about Jay White now. So, Jay White is in AEW earlier on Thursday. This week's episode of Dynamite, Jay White is here beating up member of, I think, RPK? Tama? RPK? I forgot his fucking name. I think that's RPK. Ewan ko. I'm not sure, but whatever. So, kasama siya sa, The Elite / Paragon, whatever. Kasama siya nila Adam Cole sa story, apparently. And, I don't think naman magkatagal si Jay White sa story na to. At sa company, sa AEW. Sadyang formality lang to kasi may parating na event ang New Japan sa US. Kaya, para sa akin, ang dating lang nito, formality lang. And then, we got CM Punk, John Moxley versus FTR. Man, that's a good fucking match. Dapat panoorin nyo to. Kung pwede ako mag-pick in advance, ito yung isa sa mga pagpipilian kong matches. Sorry, 2 tag match yun. Mamaya ko i-explain sa NXT yung isa. But I swear to God, CM Punk and Moxley, they did a really good job on this week's episode of Dynamite. Although it's out of nowhere throw, random. But, sabihin ko sa inyo, sobrang galing ang performance nila Punk dito. Although I'm not going to say that they are the best in the world, di ko kaya sabihin na Punk is still the best in the world. Because I don't think he is the best in the world. Simple as is. I don't think Punk is the best in the world right now. Sadyang he suck. Joke lang. Nakakagago kasi. Parang ang dating naman sa akin ni Punk is parang out of place na lang siya. Something like that. Parang ang weird, but at the same time, it's very interesting na Punk is getting pokey. Punk is getting booked. Something like this. But, still naglo-look forward pa rin ako kung paano yung lukewarm na Punk bumalik sa status na yung tipo na CM Punk, champion for 3-4 days. Pero sobrang lukewarm pa din ni Punk. For me, I don't know. People is hyping up Punk, but I don't think Punk is deserve to hype. Mas gusto ko pa panoorin yung match ni Lance Archer versus Adam Page. Although, naawa ako kay Lance kasi ilang beses na siya na-choke sa Tyros. First kay Cody, second kay Kenny. Okay, I think it's Kenny. And then, Jericho. Di ako sure sa lineup kasi I don't watch Dynamite every week. And now, Adam Page. I feel bad for him. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, move on tayo. So, I'm going to give my thoughts early on Serena Deeb's 5-minute challenge. Man, I swear this is so fucking impressive. Sobrang impressed ako on how they throw these segments. And I'm so fucking impressed. I can tell na ito yung mga segments na parang ibibuild lang nila ulit si Serena and then papatalo siya ulit kay kay tawag dito. Hikaru Shida. Parang ibibuild lang siya sa ganong way. Okay, bibuild ka muna ng malakas, tapos patalo ka ulit kay Brit. Okay, paulit-ulit, Brit na naman. Ipapatalo ka ulit kay Shida. Kay Hikaru Shida. Parang, okay, I understand. But okay, that's a good build for Serena D, but is a bibuild siya na malakas. And I love that. And then, let's move on to Hangman Page versus Lance Archer in a Texas Death Match. Man, there's a lot of spots that I need to address. Number one, I love the Jake the Snake spot here. Jake Roberts. I swear that's one of the best spots of this match. Sobrang solid nun. Yung kanyang attempt na DDT kay Adam Page. Man. Sayang yun. Di lang tinuloy. Kinontra ni Lance Archer eh. Second, yung final blow ng match, man, that's so fucking good. And number 3, man, ito sabihin ko sa inyo, panoorin nyo itong laban na to, puta. That's a really good match. Sobrang straightforward ako sa pagrarant dito about this match. But I love this stuff. Sobrang gusto ko yung ganitong format. Although, it's too unfortunate for me na hindi siya dinadala sa TV. Sobrang weird. Sobrang weird ng ganito. I'm okay with this as long as kasing haba siya ng Punk MJF or wag nila sanang i-exaggerate yung mga stories. Instead, give it to main attraction. Same with NXT. Utang na loob. Okay, I'm okay with building up talents and characters kasi yun ang signature ng NXT. Because doon sila nagpaparehas ng AEW eh. At this point, doon sila nagpaparehas sa patangahan. Patangahan ng pagbibuild ng random things. So, I know random things na nangyayari sa NXT because I'm going to talk about it later. But sige. Sa next round na pag-usapan ng NXT. I'm fine with Hangman retaining the title versus Archer. And then later on, makakalaban niya si Adam Cole kasi nireveal na nila na si Adam Cole ang susunod na challenger. So it's probably Revolution main event. Parang hindi siya canon. To be honest guys, di canon sa akin yung main event match na yun. Na proposal na yun. Hindi siya canon. Sorry guys. Sorry talaga. I'm sad kasi dumating sa point na ganito yung booking ni Cole. And obviously, mababreak lang siya ni Adam Page. But regardless, makakuha tayo ng magandang laban sa dalawa. Ano? So, regardless pa din, fuck you pa din, Cody. I'm glad na wala siya today. O kahit si Brandy. Mas gusto ko pa makita si ano dito, si Dan Lambert. Sorry guys, nagpipigil talaga ako. But, I'm glad wala si Cody kanina. Wala si Brandy. O kahit sinong kausyoso ni Cody. I'm glad na wala siya. I'm glad na wala siya kanina. Okay, move on tayo sa Raw. So, wait. We need to talk about Keith Lee. Nga pala, Keith Lee really quick. He beat Isaiah Cassidy in a match to qualify for the tawag dito, isa Revolution match sa Revolution pay-per-view. Okay. I'm impressed with Keith Lee on this one. Walang bullshit. Walang mga bearcat. Ang ina nyo, WWE. Ito yung mga ganito dapat i-book si Keith Lee. Take notes, WWE. Yan lang. yun lang thoughts ko kay Keith Lee. I love his booking. And let's see kung mananalo ba siya sa Revolution. Okay, move on na tayo sa Raw. So, I have plenty things to address about Raw. Number 1, I'm glad that they're building up Elimination Chamber smoothly on Raw kasi sila yung may easy episodes. Sila yung may easy implications and build up. So, I'm glad they build up plenty stuff na kailangan nung build-ups. So, I'm glad they did that. Let's start with the quiz bowl. At this point, sobrang nagugustuhan ko na talaga RK Bro. Pero, tandaan nyo din na may bali-balita na possible mag-split ang RK Bro. It's kinda odd. Alam kong sobrang odd. Pero that's a possibility eh. Diba? Sobrang odd nang dating sa akin. But, yeah. We know it. Possible talaga mag-split ang RK Bro sooner than later. But I wish they didn't. I wish na hindi. Kasi maganda naman eh. Maganda naman chemistry nila. And I don't need to see Riddle na mag-isa lang. Parang hindi ko kaya mag-isa si Riddle at this point. I'm not saying Randy is bad or Riddle is bad. Sadyang iba lang talaga yung chemistry nila sa division and nakakatulong naman sila sa pag-boost ng ratings, di ba? So that's why I love RK Bro on this time. Siguro magbabago yung take ko about this. Probably pinag-split na nga ang RK Bro. Okay, move on tayo. So we got AJ Styles versus Damian Priest in a non-title match. So AJ Styles won the match clean. Yes, you heard that right. Clean. Ano bang masasabi ko? Sobrang odd nito for me. I don't know if you guys seen the match at Raw. Sobrang odd nito sa akin na binook nyo si Damian Priest to be AJ's opponent na alam kong kumukuha din ng momentum for Elimination Chamber. Diba? And the problem here is, bakit si Priest pa? Ang pinili nyong ipaput over kay AJ. I know si Priest, champion yan. Parang, he needs momentum too. Lalo to WrestleMania. Tapos, papatalo nyo lang kay AJ. Parang, like what the fuck? Both of them needs momentum, huh? And now, alam ko malabo rin matalo si AJ. Ay, alam ko malabo rin manalo si AJ ng IC. Pero, IC, US title. Pero, dapat, hindi talaga nila to binook in the first place. Sobrang dumb nito. I don't know. Wala akong pake sa fans na magdi-disagree about that. Pero sobrang dumb nito. Itong stuff na to. And I don't think na magwe-well o mapupunta sa maganda yung story na to. Regardless, I don't care. Okay, so we got a rematch between Kevin Owens and Austin Theory. I can say it's okay. Ah, pero regardless kasi, wala na rin point tong match. Sobrang out of place na din 'to kagaya nung AJ Priest. Sobrang out of place na nitong match na 'to. Parang ini-stretch na lang talaga nila yung momentum ng dalawa. Parehas lang nung kay AJ tsaka kay Damian Priest. No offense kay kay Damian tsaka kay KO, but wala, sobrang pointless na, eh. Sobrang pointless na 'to, eh. Mm. And then finally the main event, Riddle versus Rollins. I know this is the first time. And naging tag match. Kinda medyo disappointed ako kasi sobrang random ng pagka-tag match, but it's fine for me na maganda yung momentum ni Rollins at ni Riddle parehas. Kaya parang good shit pa din sa akin kahit papaano na pinaglaban nila dun dalawa na pointless, napunta sa wala. Something like no. And it's fine for me. Okay, sige na. It's time to take my first break. Kasi marami na akong sasabi. I talk too much. We're going to take our first break. But before that, I want to know you guys na lahat ng in-order ko, syempre, sa Lazada is sobrang quality niyan. Sasabihin ko sa inyo, hindi ako sponsored, pero Lazada, one of the best shopping platform ever in the Philippines. So, para makatulong kayo sa akin here in the podcast, I want sana makatulong to sa inyo. Bago kayo mag-check out, please use my link on the description below or podlink.co/6gs. Type nyo yan sa browser nyo and then lagay nyo, diretso yan sa app sa Google Play Store kung Google ang gamit nyo. Or magda-download kayo na Lazada app. O pagka meron na, diretso yan sa cart nyo, check out nyo, and makakatulong yan here and the podcast with no extra cost to you. Alright. So, we're going to take my first break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about SmackDown, Goldberg, Ronda Rousey's decision about her choice at WrestleMania. And then, yung NXT Vengeance Day review. And don't forget, I'm going to do an AT&T tonight on today's episode of the podcast. So, we're going to take a break. Let's check our other podcast here on Pipe Network.
Gusto niyo bang malaman kung paano kami nakikipag-collab sa mga brands in the MT Show podcast? We use Podmetrics, the easiest way to monetize your podcast. If meron kang podcast, sign up now at podmetrics.co and use my code THEMTGSHOWPOD to get full control on how you monetize your show regarding of its size. Again, sign up now at podmetrics.co and use my code THEMTGSHOWPOD. If you're an advertiser who wants to collab with us, head on over to advertiser.podmetrics.co and fill up the form. Again, Podmetrics, the easiest way to monetize your podcast.
You are listening to the MTG Show podcast, an unfiltered Tagalog wrestling podcast where they talk about anything and everything about professional wrestling. Speaking of professional, we are professionally going to segue to our own show, Rule 20 Podcast, where the only professional thing we do are done mostly off the record, behind the cam, and under the sheets. Again, that's Rule 20, available wherever you are listening to this right now. And now back to the podcast.
So, we're back on the podcast. So, okay. Sobrang weird din, no? Na first time kong maboard ng ganito sa recording. Kasi naiisip ko lagi kung paano nila ibubok itong next story natin. No? Sobrang stupid dito, eh. So, let's move on to SmackDown now. And let's start with Goldberg. Okay, sorry. Ang cringe. Let's start with Goldberg. Kasi, nag-return siya on last week's SmackDown. And the crowd goes wild. As usual. Man, do you think crowd cares about Goldberg at this point of time? In 2022? Do you think fans care about Goldberg? Do you think may pakipaan tao kay Goldberg? Kasi ako wala eh. I know there's a history last year. But we don't care. Nandito tayo sa present. Ang present ngayon, Goldberg sucks. And I don't think Roman will beat him. Or in opposite, Goldberg beats Roman. I don't think it's going to happen. Talaga. Ever. Tanga lang ang magpipredict naman nanalo si Goldberg. And then, move on tayo. So, speaking of championships, let's talk about Ronda Rousey. So, as per episode of SmackDown, pinili na ni Ronda Rousey si Charlotte Flair to be her champion of choice in the main event of WrestleMania. Ano ang masasabi ko? Ano na naman ang thoughts ko? Well, meh. De, seriously, I'm okay with Ronda and Charlotte fighting up. Alright? I'm okay. Alam niyo hindi ako okay. Sayang yung possibility na Becky versus Ronda. Sayang talaga. Hindi talaga nila mapul-pull. Hindi nila mapul yung trigger for both of them. And sana nga, magkatotoo yung bali-balitan na mangyayari siya sa WrestleMania 39. And if hindi, wala akong pake. Sobrang, ewan ko, ano bang umuudyok sa WWE para iiwas nila si Becky kay Ronda. Ha? Ano bang problema kaya ng WWE? So that's why we got the women's elimination chamber between Rhea Ripley, Nikki ASH, si Doudrop, si Bianca Belair, si Liv Morgan, and isang TBA. Kaya nagkaroon nga ng ganun na they're going to have a elimination chamber match for the women's championship. Shot rather. Hindi siya championship match. Shot. And the winner of that will face Becky at WrestleMania. Well, okay. Okay. Balik tayo kay Ronda. Si Ronda, alam natin, big name yan. Sobrang laki ng mahahakot niyan sa WWE for sure. And hindi ako magtataka if makakash money talaga nitong mga to ng WWE. And dagdag pa natin na Ronda Rousey never defeated Charlotte one-on-one. May history yan, di ba? Doon tayo sa history. Hindi tinalo ni Ronda si Charlotte. At lalong hindi tinalo ni Charlotte si Ronda. Technically, it's DQ. But it remains the same. Hindi pa rin tinalo. Diba? Something like that. And hindi magbabago yung perspective. Na tinalo niyo daw si Ronda. No! Fuck you. Okay, move on tayo sa mga smaller segments before we go to the NXT and Vengeance Day. So, Aliyah and Natalya, tinalo ni Aliyah si Natalya by count out. At this point, wala na akong interest dito. Sabihin ko sa inyo. Sorry. At this point, nauubos na yung interest ko about this story. At sana lang matalo talaga ni Aliyah si Nati ng clear. Di naman kawalan kay Nati kung matalo siya, di ba? And then, so we got Drew McIntyre. So apparently, wala tayong WrestleMania match for Drew na nasa Tyro picture. And it is what it is. Wala. we're going to get Drew McIntyre versus Corbin at WrestleMania. Okay. In-expect ko na rin siya since day one. Day one event. And di na rin kagulat-gulat if they did that. And binibuild na rin siya for months. So kinda expected na rin na ganito yung kahantungan nitong story na to between Drew and Corbin and Batcap. And finally, New Day versus Los Lotarios. Man, sinong hindi mai-impress sa match na to? Puta. Ang ganda na tong laban na to eh. Sobrang ganda na. Pag pinanood niyo siya sa TV, na, di ba, if you remember, mga picture sa mga wrestling shows, like NXT AEW, tsaka sa recent episode ng Raw, which is meron nga din nung, I think, nung this Monday, sa Sci-Fi. Kung may mga ganitong stuff din sa both Raw and SmackDown sa regular timing nila, I think mas maganda yung mas maganda yung magiging setup na matches nila sa kanin eh. Pwede naman siguro nilang gawin yun na i-up nila na full yung match. At least andun pa rin tayo sa flow. 5 minutes lang naman ang nawala, di ba? But regardless, I love this New Day versus Los Otarios match. But I feel bad for Big E. Na nag-downgrade na talaga yung push ni Big E at this point. Sobrang na-upset ako with the booking. And it's kinda unfortunate. No. Okay, move on tayo with NXT plus my Vengeance Day Predictions. So, we got the semifinals of the Dusty Cup men's between Creed Brothers and GYB. Tapos, MSK and Malik Blade and Nisinov from this week's NXT. Respectively, walang commercials yung NXT na to. Kasi sa sci-fi nga daw sila. And ang masasabi ko lang on this week's NXT, this is pretty impressive, to be honest. Mamaya i-explain ko ng buho kung bakit sa ATT episode ko eh. Kasi sobrang excited ako i-ATT. Mas detalyado yung sasabihin ko mamaya. Alright, so I'm fucking impressed with Creed Brothers and GYB. Although, na-upset ako na kailangan lagi matalo ang GYB. And I know this is the year of Diamond Mine. But it's kinda unfortunate na talo talaga ang Diamond Mine. Talo ang GYB. Kung nga sa kabilang bracket nga ang GYB, pwede talagang manalo eh. Pwede kahit nga sila pa yung manalo ng Dusty Cup. But, it is what it is. Mamaya explain natin yung predictions sa dulo before we go to the next commercial. And then, move on tayo sa MSK versus Malik and Ednis. Alright. Ito yung, di ko napanood to ng buo. But, it's kinda disappointed that MSK needs to win this thing. Parang sinabi ko na lang dapat. Sinabi ko siya last time, I think. Dapat din talaga pinagsama yung dapat sinama niya sa bracket ng MSK to GYB. Sobrang sayang ng tag team na to. I think 3 or 4 times na silang hindi nakapasok sa Dusty Cup. And I feel fucking sad. Man, bakit ganito yung ginagawa niya sa GYB? Is GYB jobber na ba status ng mga to? Kasi I don't think so. Sobrang impressive ng run ng GYB. Ganun yung run ng GYB. Pag ganun, taas, bababa, taas, baba. And it's kinda sad that ganito na naman yung tadanasin din ng push from WWE. And sana madala na rin siya sa main roster. I know bagong Creed Brothers. And I think Creed Brothers nga mananalo ng buong tournament na to eh. Hindi naman pwedeng MSK got their shot last year. And naging champion pa nga sila eh. So kaya I don't think talaga na MSK ang mananalo ngayon tournament na to. And then, sige, Let's talk about 22 and Tiffany Stratton for Daddy's Girl card, credit card. It is what it is. Disappointing. Move on. So we got Dolph Ziggler in NXT. Wow. So they got the championship summit on this week's NXT. And ayun nga, nag-appear nga si Dolph Ziggler sa kalahati nitong segment na to. And I'm so fucking impressed with that. Sobrang unexpected din yung appearance niya. Akala ko mag-a-appear siya after Vengeance Day. But no, he did it today. He did it on that episode. Sobrang, that's mind-blowing. Sobrang mind-blowing niya for me. And actually, sobrang nagulat ako on this appearance. Sabi ko, akala ko next week pa. After pa nun na, no? But regardless, it is what it is. Nag-expect ako na baka matalo pa si Braun. Sana hindi. Pero mukhang doon tutungo eh. Mukhang doon tutungo na matatalo si Braun kay Santos Escobar. And then move on tayo. So we got Mandy Rose and Kaylee Ray for the women's title. And sorry kung magiging bias ako, kung magiging open-minded ako on this one. Sobrang bias ko. Pero I think this is the best Mandy Rose na nakita natin so far in her run ever in World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE. I think this run right now ni Mandy is her best run. Sana hindi ito sayangin ng WWE. Hindi nila kailangan sayangin ng isang Mandy Rose na maayos naman ng wrestling, magaling din sa mic, may stable, and she can run on her own. Hindi naman ibig sabihin na ganito ka-impressive yung booking niya. It means magaling siya sa lahat. Hindi. It means kaya niya lang sumabay talaga sa lahat. Kahit pa Raw and SmackDown yan, kaya niya na sumabay. Ngayon. And that's why I'm saying sobrang impressed ako with Mandy's performance on this week's NXT. Beating up Kaylee Ray, a former UK champion, the longest NXT UK champion, women's, in the modern era. And that's impressive for Mandy Rose. But as expected, heel kasi si Mandy. So, she had to cheat. Tumulong yung toxic attraction for her distractions. It's fine for me. Unexpected na. And it is what it is. That's a good touch for Mandy Rose win at this week's NXT. Okay. And I end up this week's NXT nga pala. So we got Io Shirai and Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray standing tall. Possible din pala lata na mag-team up sila for this year's Women's Dusty Cup. And ang palita, baka mag-umpisa siya after na ng Dusty Men's. O probably after ng Vengeance Day. Diba? And ang problema, tatlo nga lang ang tag team ng NXT. Diba? Bilangin nyo, ilan ba tag teams ng NXT? Yung itinitis nilang Arabian something? Sila nga to? I forgot. Nakalimutan ko din, sorry. Sino to? Sino tong isa? Sila Casey Catanzaro, Toxic Attraction, then sila din. Sila Dakota Kai. Kasi naman pipiliin niyang partner. Si Io at si KLR. Tapos si Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota J. Yan, konti eh. Ang konti, kulap. Man, hindi sila makakabuo ng tournament at this they can get women from the roster. Fuck. What's wrong with this BS? Okay, move on tayo with the Vengeance Day Predictions. Before we go to the ATD episode this week. Seriously, I'm going to do this talaga. For sure. No. Let's start with the North American Championship. So it's Carmelo Hayes, the champion, versus Cameron Grimes for the NXT North American Championship. Okay. I don't think matatalo si Melo soon than later. So I had to go to Cameron. To Carmelo Hayes. Para may papatunayan pa si Cameron Grimes para sa akin. Pero si Melo kasi, he's the top dog right now ng NXT. So that's why Carmelo Hayes to. And then Toxic Attraction versus Indy Hartwell and Persia Perota. I don't think ito drop to ng Toxic eh. Pero kung may drop dapat ang Toxic sa titles, I think it should be the women's first tag teams. It should be Toxic muna ang mauna. Sila Gigi at si JC. I think ganun dapat muna mangyari bago si Mandy. And then we got Pete Dunne versus Tony D'Angelo in a weaponized steel cage match. Weaponized. Dinagdag siya sa stipulation on this week's NXT. So, kung di kayo nanood ng wrestling noong 2016, the weaponized steel cage is same as Ambrose Asylum match from 2016. So, yeah. Yun ang first view ng weaponized steel cage match. I think this is the last match of Pete Dunne in NXT. Kasi i-elevate siya sa main roster, di ba? So, I have to pick TDA for this, Tony D'Angelo. And then, Creed Brothers versus MSK for the Dusty Cup Finals. I can say all day, Creed Brothers has to win this thing. Kasi definitely ito yung taon ng Diamond Mine. Wala naman dapat patunayan ng MSK. MSK being in this match is just formality at this point. And finally, the main event is Braun Breaker versus Santos Escobar for the NXT Championship. To be honest, sabihan ko kayo, Santos has to win this thing. Gusto ko makita si Santos manalo dito. Maraming papatunayan si Braun para sa akin. Pero hindi pa siya purong-puro eh. And plus, dagdag pa natin si Dolph Ziggler. Isa din siyang factor para matalo si Braun for the title. So that's why I think Santos is going to win. But regardless, both of them can win. I think si Braun ang mananalo, reality. Pero I want Santos to win. Alright. That's my predictions for this week's or next week's Vengeance Day na mapapanood nyo pa rin sci-fi sa US, Sony 10-1, Sony 10-3, Sony 10-4 sa India, Top Go, Top Sports sa Philippines, and BT Sports sa UK. And now, we're going to take another commercial break. But before that, I want to remind everyone na malapit na ulit ang 3 and yung payday sale na possible din on 15 and 30. So if you want to support me on the podcast here sa Shopee, please use my link on the description below or podlink.co/bhx. Again, that's podlink.co/bhx. Makakatulong yan here in the podcast with no extra cost to you. And now, let's check other ka-podcast here on Pipe Network.
Mainit na diskusyonan,
Masarap na kwentuhan
malinamnam na usapan,
at nakakagising na balitaktakan.
parang kape lang. My name is Jeff.
And I'm Weya Angeline
Join us in our conversations at Coffee na Lang Dear Podcast.
Catch the Pizarro Tales weekly as we tackle issues about education and share experiences about teaching. Hosted by James Australia, available on your favorite podcast platforms.
5 months after of NXT 2.0. Ah, it's kinda odd to me to talk like this. Alam nyo, sobrang tagal kong sinurvey yung NXT 2.0. From the beginning, last September, sobrang talas ng mata ko on 2.0. And, sasabihin ko sa inyo, sobrang impressed ako on what they're doing. For the past few months, napatunayan natin na ang 2.0 is their developmental brand. And I can say this right now that kahit nagde-decline yung ratings, it's still their developmental brand. Maraming disaster ang nangyari since that. Maraming na-release na names from the roster starting up with Adam Cole. Hindi naman released, but they quit. Ganon, something like that. So, let's start with Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, Taya Valkyrie, tapos, syempre, Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Few names na minention ko is lahat from NXT. Plus Kyle O'Reilly and kayo, Bobby Fish. Bagamat maraming dismayado sa NXT na ito, I can say na marami pa din naman pros on NXT. Bigyan nyo lang ng time mag-build ng character and time para mga pag-recover ang NXT from its mistakes. Yes, mistakes. Sinabi ko, mistakes. Marami silang sablay sa black and gold. Yes, marami din silang sablay right now. And I can say right now, is NXT is out of the equation. And that's very unfortunate. Wala na halos ang NXT sa ating memorya. Hindi natin maalala kung ano tong NXT right now. Tanungin mo mga kasama mo o yung mga fans na nanonood din ng NXT before. Ano ba sa iyo ang NXT? Of course, sasabihin nyo, that's the black and gold. That's the brand of Triple H. And mag-agree ako dun. NXT is Triple H's best plan B. At least plan B. But unfortunately, di ba, di na rin siya makapagpakita on TV right now because of his sickness and illness right now. So that's why Triple H can't show up on any programming where he is before. So, and hindi niya din naman pwedeng sabihin na kaya pala umalis si Triple H kasi finack up na ni Vince yung company. No! Fuck! What's wrong with you, mofos? Ang malinaw lang, Vince McMahon messed up with this brand. Kinda unfortunate, but kailangan ko sabihin to on mic. Vince McMahon messed up. And the brand is declining. It means pababa. Ano bang ginawa ng NXT right after that? Nagtawag. Nag-call ng talents. It's fine. There's AJ Styles and now Dolph Ziggler as per of this day's recording. And I can say I'm impressed with them doing cameras cameos on NXT. But these cameos, it means NXT is flopping ba? NXT needs a lot of pros pa? Does it make sense if it is? Sobrang may sense siya na hindi maunawa ng mga black and gold fans na why they're doing this for the black and for the present NXT. And I can say the present NXT is impressive. Hindi ko pwede sabihin na ganun. Ito, putanginan to, sobrang impressive ng NXT. No. Sobrang hit or miss na rin ng NXT. At least, sobrang hit or miss siya sa akin. Sinasabi ko on this program, on this platform, sobrang hit or miss na ng NXT. Marang times NXT kailangan ko panoorin highlights lang. May time talaga na I need to watch the whole show. But it's kinda unfortunate to see the brand na naging favorite mo noon ay malaki na ang downgrade ngayon. Ikaw, tatanungin kita. Habang iniisip mo na pinapakinggan mo tong podcast na to, ano yung nafe-feel mo about NXT 2.0? Is it suck? Is it flop? Is it unfortunate na bumalik ang NXT sa dati nitong roots? If your answer is yes, tama ka dun. Unfortunately, you're correct. Pero, bago ko tapusin, sana maisip din ng WWE na hindi rin kagandahan yung ideya nila na ganito. It's very unfortunate na they had to deal with this and to do this, and if hindi nag-work, gagawa sila ng plan B o gagawa sila ng panibagong format, panibagong shit. Sa tingin ko hindi makapatok sa tao. And that's unfortunate for me. The next few days, siguro, bibigyan ko kayo ng ranking ko. Special episode, ranking on NXT's best gimmicks and characters on 2.0. Parang ang dating sa akin, it's kinda unfortunate na kailangan natin mag-deal dito. But for then, that's my attention to detail.
Sandy. Tara na, mag-record na tayo.
Okay, sige. Sige.
This is 480 TV Pod.
The 482nd TV After Show Podcast.
This season, we are going to talk about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Tune in every Sundays wherever you get your podcast.
480 TV Pod.
From Pipe Network.
Sige na, manood ka na. Diyan ka naman magaling.
Okay. Napakinggan nyo yung episode ko ng Attention to Detail. Nakadiretso yan dito sa Spotify, sa platform na to. If sabihin nyo lang kung ano yung thoughts nyo about that episode, let me know in the comments below. Para ma-follow up ko na din yung special episode na pinaplano ko about Lacking Gold. Na top 10 gimmicks and characters on 2.0 so far. Na magiging follow-up ko nito. Hindi ito matatapos dito lang. Siguro, for the next 3 months pa, obserbahan natin itong Black and Gold. Itong rainbow brand na to. Okay, it's time for me to go slowly. So, we're going to reveal my picks of the week for last week. So, the man is MJF. The woman is Kaylee Ray. The match is Punk versus MJF from last week's Dynamite. So, this week siguro, malaking possibility na yung Creed Brothers versus GYB yung mapili ko. Alamin na lang natin the next few days pa. Kasi may 2 days pa, Sunday ako magde-decide. So, see ya in the next few days on the podcast, Facebook, Twitter, and IG platforms. But for then, it's time for me to go. So, follow the podcast on all of the social media platforms. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and on TikTok at the MTG Show Pod. And then you can support the podcast by listening on the platforms on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and the rest of the podcast platforms, and on the podcast app, which is available on Google Play Store. And don't forget to rate our podcast on Spotify and on Apple Podcast 5 stars or 6 as soon as you can on your platforms, Spotify and Apple Podcast. So also, you can support the Pipe Network. Pakinggan niyo yung episode ko pa din sa Tao Ba To, the podcast, and the companion show on your favorite podcast platform. Support the Pipe Network by following us on the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and on TikTok at Pipe Network. And visit pipenetwork.co for more Pipe Network shows. And please follow me on all of my social media platforms at AG Penera on Twitter and Instagram. So with that said, thank you for listening on this week's episode of the podcast. Stay safe, stay raso. I hope na magpa-vaccine kayo. Utang na loob. For God's sake, please get your vaccines and boosters as soon as you can. And on May 2022, please, huwag kayo bumoto sa magnanakaw, sinungaling, inutil, at higit sa lahat yung walang magagawa dito sa Pilipinas. I swear, please vote. And sana pumili kayo ng tama. Alright. Thank you. See you on the next episode. We're peace out.
Did you know that podcasts are the new radio? You can listen to your favorite shows anytime, anywhere, on demand. Visit the Pilipinas Indie Podcast and Entertainment Network at pipenetwork.co to see our list of shows. And like us on Facebook to get updates on our latest episodes, events, promos, and freebies. The Pipe Network, taking podcasting to the next level.